Hi everyone, I'm here with Stephen Ball right now, who we're nominating as our Care and Connection Pastor, possibly beginning in the brand new year. It's great to have you here with us right now, Stephen. So Stephen, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself right now?
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for this opportunity to come and to share a bit about myself. My story, I was born in England. I follow soccer. And I've lived in Australia since I was 3. I have a family, my wife, Annette, who for most of her working life was a school teacher. And then I have 2 children, Johanna, who's 34, who is also a school teacher, and my son Philip, who is 30, and he works for JB Hi-Fi, and he's at the moment he's studying some accountancy as well. My background is that we live in Joyner, near Petrie. We've lived in the north side of Brisbane for 35 years, just about. And so this is very much, this part of Brisbane is our sort of home area as well.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, well, we've been able to hear a little bit about your experience as well. I released an information pack a little while ago. So do you just want to tell us a little bit about your experience in ministry, but you've also had experience in teaching as well. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure, Dave. I grew up in the Housing Commission estates of Brisbane, Inala, Acacia Ridge, trained as a school teacher. And so my first working role was as a secondary teacher. Geography and accounting were my teaching areas, and they were served for 6 years in country Queensland, Biloela, and then in Clifton. It was in Clifton where I met my wife, Annette, so I tell people that we were a high school romance. We both met at high school. I was the geography teacher and she was the science teacher, and we got married from there. And from there we felt God's call to go to Bible college, so we went to Baptist Theological College of Queensland, as it was in those days, and studied full-time for 2 years. During that time, I was the field worker at a Holland Park Baptist, which is now called Gateway Baptist Church, and they were good years. But at the end of that time, we didn't feel a direct call to a church-based ministry area, so I went back to the education department and had a role for 3 years as a consultant in the area of human relationships education, which was based on the region of the north side of Brisbane, and so I spent time in most of the high schools on this side of Brisbane. During that time, we'd moved over to this side of town and we'd started attending the Rivers Baptist Church, which was then called the Launton Baptist Church. And so for those 3 years we were involved in ministry. At the end of that time, the church issued us a call for me to be the associate pastor there, which we prayed about and sensed God saying that's what he wanted us to do. So I spent 3 years there as the associate pastor of the church. And at the end of that period of time, God very clearly led me to another role, which was at Muir College, which was going back to my teaching background and my ministry background. And so I was there for 4 years full-time for most of that time, and for a good part of that time I was the assistant principal of the school. And I probably thought that I was pretty settled and excited about what was happening there. And then God opened up the door for us to go to the Baptist College as on the faculty. And so there my role was as registrar, field education director, did lecturing in the areas of Christian education, and had a good 9 years full-time there. And then after that, God led us through a period of change and transition and challenge in our life too, as we sought to see what God would have us to do. And I had a period of time where I was out of ministry and had a sort of a recovering time, really. And then the church at Bridgeman Downs, which we'd started attending, called us to be the associate pastor there. And so served there for 3 years, and that was an exciting time, and thought I would be there for a long time. And then God continues to direct our paths. And so 13 years ago, I was offered the role as a regional consultant with Queensland Baptist. So that really fills that heart to serve and to support churches and pastors as well.
Fantastic. Now, I've myself and the council, we've been able to hear a bit of your heart over the past little while for this role and for the church here at Bracken Ridge. But do you want to tell everyone who's watching right now a bit about your heart for the church here?
Sure. Thanks, Dave. It's an interesting journey. When I finished up at the Baptist Union, I had a sense that God was saying that my time in full-time ministry was coming to a close, and I wasn't really sure about what the future had. Perhaps if I was honest, I'd say I was probably content to get back involved in my home church. But, God actually continues to ask us to do what he wants us to do. And so the call or the offer of a call to Bracken Ridge wasn't something that I went seeking, but over a period of time, God made it clear that that was what he was asking me to be willing to do if the church sees that as the way to go forward. I love reading the scriptures, and I know in Acts chapter 16 there's a passage where Paul thought he was doing ministry in a certain way, and then he had a dream, and somebody from Macedonia called Paul to come over and help them. And that's sort of been my experience here at Bracken Ridge. I know that initially I thought, well, is this something that I want to do? And then secondly, it was more as, what does God want me to do? And my sense is that God is saying, for a season, to come and to support and to help you here. My passion is people. My passion is about relationships between people and doing ministry relationally. I've had a lot of my ministry time has been supporting pastors, training pastors, helping churches. I don't claim to be an expert in any area, but I do have this sense of wanting to do what God wants me to do. And so coming to Bracken Ridge, I'm looking forward to the opportunity of going to meet a whole lot of people and renewing acquaintances with some people who I already know, and just to see what God is doing. The other thing I think about Bracken Ridge that really excites me is that I will be considerably older than the rest of the pastoral team. And yet God on my whole journey of ministry has given me a heart to invest in and to encourage to younger people and pastors as they go. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And somebody told me that if you hang out with people who are a lot younger than you, then that keeps you young yourself. So I'm looking forward to that new surge of energy that might come as well.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks so much for sharing all of that with us, Stephen. Just a reminder for all of you who are part of our church that we're going to be having a members meeting on the 10th of January on Stephen's call. And so it would be great if you were able to book that into your calendar right now. That will be straight after our morning service. So it'd be great to have you joining with us for that.